There's a moment on this path of transformation that can feel like standing in the middle of a silent, empty room. A moment when everything that once felt alive and full of meaning suddenly stops. The signs that used to reassure you, the repeating numbers on a clock, those perfect chance encounters, the dreams that felt like messages from beyond, they vanish. And in their place, there's only stillness. For many people, this silence feels terrifying. It's as if the universe has turned its back, leaving you alone in the dark. Your heart starts to question everything. Did I take a wrong turn? Did I lose my connection to something greater? Did all of this mean nothing after all? But here's what I want you to know. This silence is not abandonment. It is not failure. It's the exact opposite. It is a sacred signal that you are closer than you've ever been to a profound breakthrough. You're standing on the threshold of what some call a quantum shift, a moment when your entire reality is about to reorganize itself in ways your mind can't yet imagine. Think of it like the moment before dawn. If you judge only by the darkness of the sky, you might think the sun will never rise again. But deep beneath that darkness, light is already on its way. The sky is already shifting, even if you can't see it yet. That's what this silence truly is. It's the breath the universe takes before something extraordinary is born. We've been conditioned to believe that progress should always come with proof, that if we're on the right path, there should be constant confirmation signs appearing everywhere, coincidences guiding our steps, feelings of clarity and certainty. And when those things vanish, panic sets in. The mind assumes something has gone terribly wrong. But in the deeper rhythm of life, silence is as essential as sound. It's like the pause between notes in a beautiful piece of music. Without that pause, there would only be noise. The stillness doesn't mean the song is over. It means the melody is building to a new and powerful movement. The universe works in a similar way. It communicates with us through waves and patterns, through cycles of expansion and contraction. In the beginning, when you first awaken to your creative power, you receive many external signs. It's as if the universe is saying, yes, keep going. You're connected. You're supported. These synchronicities are like the training wheels on a bicycle. They help you find your balance. But there comes a time when the training wheels must come off. Not because you've been abandoned, but because you've grown. The silence isn't punishment. It's the universe saying, I trust you now. I believe you can ride on your own. This is the moment when you're invited to turn inward. When the outer confirmations fade, you're asked to discover a deeper kind of guidance, one that comes not from numbers on a clock or feathers on a path, but from your own heart, your own vibration. And yes, this stage often feels chaotic. Your emotions may rise and fall like a storm at sea. One day you feel unstoppable, certain that everything is aligning perfectly. The next day, doubt and fear crash in, leaving you wondering if any of it was real. This emotional turbulence is not a sign you've lost your way. It's a sign that you are changing at a level so deep, your entire nervous system is recalibrating. Imagine a rocket breaking free from Earth's gravity. Right before it escapes the atmosphere, it faces the greatest resistance. The shaking, the roaring, the intensity that's not failure. That's proof it's about to break through. In the same way, when your feelings intensify, when everything seems to fall silent and dark, it's because you are approaching escape velocity from your old reality. This silence, as uncomfortable as it is the space where true transformation happens. In physics, there's a moment before a wave collapses into a particle, a moment when every possibility exists at once. In your life, this looks like uncertainty. The old timeline hasn't completely dissolved, and the new one hasn't fully appeared. You are suspended between worlds. This space asks for trust. It asks you to stop reaching outward for reassurance and to anchor inward instead. It's here, in this quiet, that you shift from needing evidence to being the evidence. When you learn to stand steady in the silence, something extraordinary happens. You begin to realize that the power was never in the signs themselves. It was always in you, the observer, the dreamer, the creator. So if you're in that silent space right now, take a deep breath, feel your feet on the ground. Remind yourself that nothing has been lost. The very stillness you're experiencing is the surest sign that everything is coming together beneath the surface. Don't rush this moment. Don't fight it. Instead, allow yourself to rest inside it. Like the pause between heartbeats, trust that just as day follows night, your breakthrough will follow this stillness. One day soon, the signs will return. The light will come back. But when it does, you'll understand something profound. The silence was never empty. It was full of unseen movement, full of the invisible threads weaving your new reality into being. And in that moment, you'll realize that the universe never turned its back on you. It was holding you steady, waiting for you to discover that you were the connection all along. 1. The universe moves in its natural rhythm. Life has its own quiet music, a rhythm so ancient and steady that most of us forget to listen to it. The universe is never rushing, never forcing. It simply flows like the ocean's tide, like the breath moving gently in and out of your lungs. There are cycles to everything: expansion and contraction, presence and absence, sound and silence. When we first begin to notice signs and synchronicities, those repeating numbers, meaningful encounters, or perfect moments that seem to whisper, "Yes, you are on the right path," it can feel magical. It feels like the universe is speaking directly to us, guiding us step by step. And in a way, it is. These signs are real, and they often arrive when we need encouragement the most, like small lights along a dark trail. But here is something that is rarely talked about. There will come a time when those signs fade. One day, they seem to vanish completely, and in their place, there is silence. For many, that silence feels unbearable. We panic, thinking we've done something wrong. We believe we've lost our connection to the divine, or that the magic was never real to begin with. Yet this silence is not punishment. It is not the end of your journey. It is simply part of the cycle, as natural and necessary as the pause between breaths. Imagine listening to a piece of music. Without the spaces between the notes, it would just be noise, an endless stream of sound with no meaning. The pauses are what give the song shape, beauty, and depth. The same is true of life. The stillness you experience now is not emptiness. It is the space where creation gathers its strength for the next great crescendo. Think of the ocean. The waves rush forward, crash upon the shore, and then they recede. The water pulls back, leaving behind a moment of quiet before the next wave arrives. If you didn't understand the ocean, you might think the retreat meant the waves were gone forever. But if you wait and trust, you see that the next wave always comes, often even stronger than before. The universe moves in this same way. When synchronicities disappear, when signs seem to go silent, it's not because you've lost your connection. It's because the tide is pulling back to gather momentum. It's the natural rhythm of expansion and contraction. We humans have been conditioned to fear the contraction, the stillness. We're told that progress must always be visible, always measurable, always forward-moving. So when life seems to pause, when the signs vanish, we assume it's a bad thing. Our minds immediately jump to judgment. I must be doing something wrong. Maybe I'm not aligned anymore. Maybe the magic has left me. But what if the pause isn't a problem at all? What if it's an invitation? There's a moment in the forest right before dawn. The world is still dark, the air cool and heavy. To an untrained eye, it might seem like nothing is happening. But listen closely. Beneath the surface, the earth is already waking. The first birds are stirring, though they haven't yet begun to sing. The light is already spreading through the upper atmosphere, even though you can't see it from where you stand. In just a short while, The sun will rise and flood everything with warmth and color. This is what the silent phase feels like in your life. It's the moment before the breakthrough, before the new reality comes rushing in. It's not evidence of abandonment. It's proof that something profound is already unfolding just out of sight. When you begin to understand this, your relationship with the universe changes. You stop clinging to the highs and fearing the lows. You no longer grasp desperately at the signs, trying to hold on to them. Nor do you fall apart when they vanish. Instead, you begin to flow with the natural rhythm, like a dancer moving gracefully with the music. And here's the beauty of it: when you stop resisting, when you stop panicking during the silence, you create space for something deeper to emerge. The pause becomes a sanctuary. It becomes a place where you can hear the soft voice of your own soul, unclouded by external noise. This is the point where faith is born, not blind faith, but a living, breathing trust in the rhythm of life itself. You begin to see that just as the ocean's waves never truly stop, your connection to the universe never truly disappears. Even when the outer evidence fades, the inner current is always flowing. So when you find yourself in that quiet space, we remember this: the silence is not a void, it's a womb. It's the place where the unseen takes shape before it becomes visible, like a seed buried in the dark soil, unseen by the world. Your dreams are germinating in that hidden space. Just because you can't see them sprouting doesn't mean they aren't growing. When you understand this natural rhythm, you stop trying to control it. You no longer demand constant signs or proof. You stop forcing the tide to come in on your schedule. Instead, you learn to wait with open hands and a steady heart. And in that waiting, a strange and beautiful thing happens. Peace arises. You begin to trust not only the universe but also yourself. You realize that you are part of this rhythm, not separate from it. You are the wave and the ocean, the note and the silence, the breath and the pause between breaths. When you truly feel this, you no longer fear the cycles of life. You no longer see the quiet moments as setbacks. You recognize them for what they are: an essential part of the dance. And in that recognition, you step into harmony with the universe itself. So, the next time you notice the signs disappearing, take a deep breath. Instead of spiraling into fear, whisper to yourself, this is the pause before the next wave. This is the silence before the music begins again. Trust that the rhythm of life is holding you, even when you can't hear the song, because it is always there, steady and true, waiting for you to listen. 2. Silence is the preparation before the breakthrough. There is a kind of silence that feels heavy, almost unbearable. It's the kind of quiet that makes you question yourself, your path, even your worth. You look around and nothing seems to be moving. The signs you once depended on are gone. The synchronicities have faded, and it feels as if life has gone still, like a pond with no ripples, no wind, no sound. Most of us, when faced with this kind of silence, assume something has gone wrong. We panic, thinking we've lost our connection to the universe, or that we've somehow failed at this journey of transformation. But what if the silence is not a punishment? What if it is not an ending at all, but rather the very beginning of something profound? Think about a seed buried deep in the earth. To the outside world, it appears lifeless. There's no visible sign of growth, no evidence that anything is happening. From the surface, it looks as though nothing is changing. But beneath that dark, quiet, something miraculous is unfolding. The seed is breaking open, sending out delicate roots, preparing to push upward toward the light. The darkness isn't a mistake. It's a sacred space where transformation begins. Without that hidden process, there could be no sprout, no flower, no towering tree. Your life follows the same pattern. The silence you feel right now is not emptiness. It is gestation. It is the womb of creation, holding all the potential of what is to come. Just because you cannot see the changes yet does not mean they aren't happening. So many of us want visible proof at every stage of our growth. We crave constant confirmation, like someone standing over a seed, demanding it to sprout before its time. But nature doesn't work that way. Life requiert patience. It requires trust. You can't dig up the seed every day to check if it's growing. Doing so would only disrupt the very process you long for. The same is true of your dreams, your healing, your evolution. In the stillness, things are being rearranged in ways your mind cannot yet understand. The universe is moving pieces into place, aligning circumstances, dissolving what no longer serves you, and preparing to birth something entirely new. It's much like the hours before dawn. When the night is at its darkest, when it feels endless and cold, it's easy to believe the sun will never rise again. But even as you stand there in the darkness, light is already on its way. The sky is shifting, even if your eyes can't see it yet. Birds are stirring, even if you haven't heard their song. In those final moments before sunrise, the silence is the deepest, not because nothing is happening, but because everything is preparing to burst into life. When you understand this, your relationship with silence changes. Instead of fearing it, you begin to honor it. You see it as a sign that something powerful is underway. You realize that what feels like nothingness is actually fullness beyond measure, a fullness that hasn't yet taken form. This is why spiritual traditions across time have spoken about the dark night of the soul. It's not a punishment. It's not a sign that you're lost. It's an initiation. Just like a seed must spend time in darkness before it can grow, your soul must sometimes pass through silence before it can expand into its next chapter. When you are in this space, it's natural for doubt to rise. The mind will try to convince you that you've failed, that you've been forgotten, that nothing will ever change. It will whisper, "Look, there's no evidence. Nothing is happening." But the truth is this: everything is happening. It's simply happening beneath the surface, beyond the reach of your current senses. Imagine standing on the shore, looking out at the ocean. The tide pulls back, exposing rocks and sand, leaving the beach strangely empty. If you didn't understand the rhythm of the sea, you might think the water was gone forever. But in reality, it's just gathering strength for the next wave, one that will come rushing in, even more powerful than before. The silence in your life works the same way. It's the pulling back before the surge forward. It's the inhale before the exhale. This is where faith becomes essential. Not faith as blind belief, but faith as an inner knowing. It's the quiet confidence that just as the sun always rises and the tide always returns, your breakthrough will come. In this space, you are invited to slow down, to breathe, to surrender the need to control. You are asked to trust the unseen. And that trust is not weakness. It is the deepest form of strength. Because when you can remain steady in the silence, when you can rest in the dark soil of the unknown, you become like that seed. You allow yourself to be transformed from the inside out. And when the time is right, you will rise. Just as the sprout breaks through the surface, just as dawn breaks through the night sky, your new reality will reveal itself. When that moment comes, you'll understand why the silence was necessary. You'll see that what felt like stillness was actually sacred preparation. So if you are in that quiet space now, take heart. You are not lost. You are being readied for something greater than you can imagine. The silence is not a void to fear. It is the birthplace of your next chapter. It is the tender ground where your dreams take root. It is proof that the universe is not done with you. It is just getting ready to reveal its masterpiece. 3. The final challenge is only a mirror. There's a moment, just before everything changes, that feels almost cruel in its intensity. You've done the inner work. You've stretched, healed, released, and grown. You've trusted when it was difficult and held on when there was no proof. It feels like you should be standing on the edge of freedom, ready to step into the new life you've been creating. And then, suddenly, it all seems to fall apart. Old fears resurface. Unexpected problems arise. People from your past show up, carrying the same patterns you thought you had left behind. It can feel like the universe is throwing obstacles in your way, as if it's testing your strength, your worth, your resolve. Many of us have been taught to believe this story that life will test us before granting us what we desire, that we must somehow prove ourselves through suffering or struggle. But what if that belief isn't true? What if the universe doesn't test you at all? What if it doesn't judge or punish or withhold? What if, instead, it simply reflects you like a mirror? When you reach this threshold moment, what you are facing is not some cosmic exam. It is not a gatekeeper deciding if you are worthy. It is simply the final reflection of who you used to be. Think about standing in front of an old mirror you've carried for years. It shows you a version of yourself that no longer fits, a version you've outgrown. You know you've changed. You can feel it deep inside. But when you look at that mirror, it still holds the past image. That doesn't mean the growth didn't happen. It simply means the reflection hasn't caught up yet. This is what the final challenge truly is. It's the last echo of the old self, the final flicker of outdated beliefs, habits, and energies rising to the surface so they can be released once and for all. It can be deeply unsettling because it feels so real. The conflict, the disappointment, the sudden chaos, they come with intensity because they are dissolving, like sediment stirred up in a river. Everything rises to the top before the water becomes clear again. If you react with fear in this moment, if you identify with the old patterns, you will naturally be pulled back into the same reality you've been working so hard to transcend. It's like grabbing onto the reflection in the mirror, mistaking it for who you still are. But if you can pause, breathe, and remember what's really happening, something powerful occurs. By holding your ground, by staying anchored in the new frequency you've chosen, you allow the old reflection to fade. You witness it without becoming it. Imagine you've been rehearsing a new song, one you've never performed in public before. The final challenge is like the last time you play the old song. The notes may be familiar, but you know in your heart you've already moved on. You're ready to play a new melody. If you stay centered, the old music naturally fades into silence, making space for the new song to begin. This is why it's so important to respond rather than react during these threshold moments. Life will present situations that seem designed to provoke you: an argument, a financial setback, a health scare, an emotional trigger. But these aren't punishments. They are mirrors, showing you exactly what you no longer need to carry. Every time you choose not to fight, not to fall back into fear, you are declaring to the universe, I am ready to step into who I truly am. And the universe, like a faithful mirror, simply reflects that truth back to you. Consider the process of refining gold. Before gold can shine in its purest form, the impurities must rise to the surface of the molten metal. They bubble and resist, creating turbulence before they burn away. This can look messy, chaotic, even violent. But it's not a sign of failure. It's the final stage of purification. Your life is no different. The chaos before a breakthrough isn't proof that you're failing. It's proof that you're succeeding. It's the old energies rising so they can be burned away by the light of your new awareness. This is why spiritual teachers throughout history have spoken about persistence. Neville Goddard, for example, often reminded his students that even when outer evidence contradicts your inner vision, you must continue to assume and embody the state of your desired reality. Why? Because the outer world is just a mirror of the inner one. It always lags slightly behind. The reflection takes time to catch up to who you've already become. When you truly understand this, something shifts inside you. The final challenge no longer feels like a cruel test. It becomes a sacred opportunity. Each trigger, Each conflict, each moment of tension becomes a chance to stand firmly in your truth and prove not to anyone else, but to yourself that you are no longer who you once were. It's like learning to walk without support for the first time. At first, someone held your hands, steadying you. Then, one day, they let go. You wobble, you stumble, maybe even fall. But that moment isn't about proving to them that you can walk. It's about proving it to yourself. So, when life feels intense right before a breakthrough, remind yourself, this is just the mirror. This is the last echo of what no longer serves me. You don't need to fight it. You don't need to fix it. You only need to see it clearly and stay true to the new version of yourself you've been cultivating. Soon, the reflection will shift. The old image will fade, and you will step forward into a reality that finally matches who you've become inside. The final challenge isn't a test of worthiness. It's a confirmation of transformation. It's the universe gently holding up a mirror and saying, "Look, this is what you've been carrying. Are you ready to let it go?" When you answer yes, not just with words, but with your actions, your energy, your presence, the mirror shatters. And on the other side is the life you've been waiting for, shining back at you, ready to be lived. 4. The surge of emotions is proof of change. There is a strange, often overwhelming moment that comes right before a true breakthrough. It rarely feels peaceful. It rarely feels easy. Instead, it feels like your whole being is caught in a storm. You can't escape. One moment, you are filled with inspiration, vision, and excitement. You feel unstoppable, certain that life is aligning perfectly for you. And then, in what feels like the very next breath, you are pulled down into doubt, fear, or even despair. It can be so jarring that you begin to question everything. Am I doing something wrong? Did I imagine all of it? Am I really ready for this change? I know how exhausting this feels. I've been there myself, standing at the edge of something new. My heart caught between faith and fear. And here is what I've learned. Through those dark, disorienting moments, this intense swing of emotions is not a sign of failure. It is not proof that you're backsliding or losing your way. It is, in fact, a sign that you are closer than ever to breaking free from the old reality. Think of a rocket preparing to leave Earth's atmosphere. For most of its journey upward, there's resistance. Yes, but as it gets closer to the edge of space, that resistance grows stronger. The shaking intensifies. The heat builds. The pressure becomes almost unbearable. And then, in one instant, it breaks through. Silence, weightlessness, freedom. Your emotional landscape works in the very same way. The turbulence you are feeling right now is the resistance of your old patterns fighting to hold on. Even as you rise into something entirely new, from a deeper perspective, these emotions are like the final tremors of an earthquake. The ground beneath you is shifting, making room for a new foundation. What feels like chaos is actually the last stage of transformation, the moment before stability returns. It helps to see this process for what it truly is. Not a punishment, not a warning, but evidence of progress. Just as boiling water grows wild and chaotic before it turns to steam, your emotions surge before you ascend into a higher state of being. When you understand this, you stop fearing the intensity. You stop labeling it as bad or wrong. Instead, you begin to see it as a necessary part of the journey, a kind of spiritual labor, like the contractions before birth. Painful, yes. Uncomfortable, absolutely, but also purposeful, leading to new life. It's important to remember that your nervous system has been wired for years, maybe decades, to live in a certain way. It knows the old reality, the old habits, the old identity. Even if those patterns were painful, they were familiar, and the human mind clings to what is familiar. So when you start to shift, When you begin to step into a version of yourself that is freer, lighter, and more aligned, your nervous system protests. It sends up alarms. Fear rises like smoke. Doubt roars in your mind. Old memories and stories come flooding back. This is not because you're failing. It's because your entire inner landscape is being rewired. New pathways are forming. Your mind and body are learning to exist in a new frequency, one that feels unfamiliar but deeply true. Imagine moving from a dimly lit room into bright sunlight. At first, your eyes squint and water. It feels uncomfortable. You might even want to retreat back into the darkness simply because it's easier on your senses. But if you stay in the light, your vision adjusts. What felt overwhelming at first becomes natural. The same is true here. These surges of emotion are simply your inner world adjusting to the brightness of your next chapter. During this time, you may notice dramatic swings, moments of pure inspiration, followed by sudden heaviness. This is normal. Think of it like the tide waves rushing in and out as your old self and new self overlap for a while. The key is not to get lost in the waves. You are not the storm. You are the ocean beneath it. When the doubt comes, observe it. When the fear rises, breathe through it. When joy floods your heart, savor it fully, knowing that it, too, is part of the process. If you can meet all of these emotions with compassion instead of judgment, you will begin to notice something extraordinary. The intensity, while still present, no longer controls you. You may still feel the ups and downs, but you will not be thrown around by them. You will begin to sense a steady current beneath it all, the deeper truth of who you are, unshaken and eternal. I often think of this stage as the moment when a butterfly struggles to emerge from its cocoon. From the outside, it may look like suffering. The cocoon tears, the butterfly thrashes and pushes, but that very struggle is what strengthens its wings. If you were to intervene and try to help by cutting the cocoon open too soon, the butterfly would never develop the strength to fly. In the same way, the emotional turbulence you feel now is forging something within you. It is teaching you resilience, trust, and alignment. It is preparing you to live fully in the new reality you've been creating. So when the emotions rise, the fear, the doubt, the surges of grief or anger, try not to see them as enemies. See them as companions. On this final stretch of the journey, they are here to be felt and then released, not clung to or resisted. And remember this, the storm does not last forever. There comes a moment when the rocket breaks free, when the butterfly's wings unfold, when the tide shifts and the waters calm. When that moment arrives, you will look back and see that every tremor, every surge, every tear was proof that you were on the edge of transformation. Your emotions are not a sign that you're failing. They are living evidence that you are breaking through, leaving behind the gravity of your old life and stepping into the vast, limitless sky of who you were always meant to be. 5. From dependent to creator. In the early stages of this journey, life feels almost magical. Everywhere you look, there are signs and synchronicities repeating numbers on a clock, meaningful encounters, songs that seem to speak directly to your heart. It feels as though the universe is whispering, yes, you're on the right path. Keep going. Those signs are comforting. They reassure you when doubt creeps in. They remind you that you are not alone, that there is a deeper intelligence guiding the way, and in those early days, we need that reassurance. Just like a child needs a guiding hand when learning to walk for the first time. But here's the truth that many people don't expect. As you grow, those signs begin to fade. The whispers grow quieter. The constant synchronicities slow down, sometimes disappearing altogether. At first, this feels terrifying. You may even think, I must have done something wrong. Maybe I lost my connection. Maybe the universe has turned away from me. That fear is natural, but it's built on a misunderstanding. The silence you are experiencing is not punishment, it is trust. Think about a wise teacher. When a student first begins, the teacher is very hands-on, offering constant guidance, correction, and encouragement. But as the student develops mastery, the teacher gradually steps back, not because the student is unworthy, but because the teacher believes in their ability to walk on their own. The same is true with the universe. In the beginning, the signs are like training wheels. They help you find your balance, your confidence, but eventually, those training wheels have to come off. Imagine teaching a child to ride a bike. At first, you hold the seat, steadying them, running alongside as they pedal. The child feels safe because they know you're right there. Then comes the moment when you let go. For a few shaky seconds, they wobble. They might even cry out in fear, thinking they've been abandoned. But you haven't abandoned them. You've given them the gift of freedom. You've allowed them to discover their own strength. This is what happens when the signs fade from your life. It's not that the universe has disappeared. It's that you've reached a stage where you no longer need constant external proof to know you are supported. The silence is a sacred vote of confidence. It is as if the universe is saying, "You don't need me to hold the seat anymore. You already know how to ride." When you realize this, the silence transforms. Instead of feeling lost, you begin to feel empowered. You understand that you are being invited to step into your true role, not as a seeker forever looking outward, but as a creator shaping your own reality from within. This shift is subtle, but profound. It's the moment when you stop needing signs and start being the sign. You move from waiting for life to show you evidence, to embodying the evidence yourself. Your energy, your presence, your choices become the living proof of alignment. Of course, this transition isn't always comfortable. There's a raw, vulnerable moment when the old supports are gone, but the new confidence hasn't fully settled in yet. It feels like walking across a bridge you can't quite see, trusting that each step will reveal the path beneath your feet. During this time, you may feel a deep longing for the old signs to return. You might even catch yourself looking for them, scanning for repeating numbers, searching for hidden messages in conversations. That's okay. It's human. But as you grow, you begin to notice something: the real guidance was never outside of you. It was always within. This inner guidance is quieter than the external signs, but far more powerful. It speaks through intuition, through a calm knowing that doesn't need validation. It feels like a deep, steady current beneath the waves of emotion and thought. Learning to trust this inner voice is part of becoming a creator. It's about moving beyond dependency on outer confirmation and realizing that you are part of the very intelligence you once looked up to. Think of it like this: when you were a child, you believed the sun rose because someone turned it on like a light switch. As you grew, you learned that the sun has always been there, steady and constant. Whether you were awake to see it or not, the universe is like that sun. It has never stopped shining on you. Even when you don't see the signs, the energy that supports you is always present. When you fully grasp this, a remarkable freedom emerges. You stop chasing signs, stop clinging to external proof. You no longer feel like a student waiting for the teacher's approval. You realize you are now standing alongside that teacher, co-creating, collaborating, weaving your reality with the same creative force that once guided you from a distance. And here's the beautiful paradox: when you no longer need the signs, they often return, not because you depend on them, but because they now come as joyful reminders, like a friend dropping by to say hello. The difference is, you no longer rely on them to feel safe or worthy. You appreciate them, but you don't need them. You've discovered the source of security within yourself. This is the essence of moving from dependent to creator. It's not about control or forcing outcomes. It's about alignment, holding a frequency so steady that life naturally reflects it back to you. It's like becoming the lighthouse instead of the lost ship. You stop scanning the horizon for rescue and start shining your own light. knowing that everything you need flows from that inner radiance. So if you're in a season where the signs have grown quiet, take heart. This silence is not emptiness. It is the sound of your own wings unfurling. The universe hasn't stepped away. It has stepped aside, giving you room to soar. Trust yourself. Trust the silence. And remember, you are no longer just a receiver of reality. You are the one creating it. 6. The upgrading of the brain and nervous system. There comes a point on this path when everything that once felt familiar begins to dissolve. The synchronicities that once lit your way grow quiet, and life feels strangely still. On the surface, it can seem like nothing is happening, but beneath that silence, something profound is taking place. Your very biology is shifting. This is not just a spiritual journey, it's a deeply physical one. Your brain and nervous system are the bridges between your inner world and the outer reality you experience. When you begin to step into a new frequency of being, those systems must adapt. They are being rewired to hold more light, more awareness, more possibility. At first, this process can feel deeply uncomfortable. There may be emotional turbulence, moments of intense sensitivity, or even a feeling that you've somehow lost your footing. But this isn't a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that everything is changing. Think back to when you first learned to ride a bicycle. In the beginning, someone was there to hold you steady, to keep you from falling. Their hand on the back of the seat gave you a sense of safety and balance. But there comes a moment when they have to let go. That moment is wobbly, terrifying, even suddenly, you're on your own, and every muscle in your body has to learn something new. You may swerve or stumble, you might even fall, but in that moment of instability, your body is learning how to balance itself without external support. This is exactly what happens when your synchronicities, those guiding signs from the universe, begin to fade. They were the steadying hand, the external support you needed in the beginning, but now, you are being invited to ride on your own. Your nervous system responds to this shift, much like the child on the bicycle. It wobbles, it trembles, it tries to cling to the old ways of processing information, the old patterns of safety and control. This is why, during periods of spiritual growth, your emotions can feel so intense. Your brain is literally rewiring itself, creating new pathways, dissolving old ones. The habits and reactions that once defined you are loosening their grip, while new, more expansive ways of being are forming from a neurological perspective. This is called neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and change. When you begin to embody a new frequency, your thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors shift. The old neural networks don't disappear overnight. Instead, there's a period of overlap, where the old and new are both active. This overlap creates a feeling of inner conflict. One part of you longs to step fully into the new, while another part clings to the familiar. It's not unlike standing with one foot on the dock and one foot on the boat as the tide begins to pull them apart. There's a moment of deep instability, not because you're failing, but because you're transitioning. Many people misinterpret this instability as a sign that they're going backward. They feel the surge of fear, the sudden wave of doubt, and think, I must be doing something wrong. But the truth is, these intense feelings are proof that the upgrade is happening. Your brain is like a computer, installing a completely new operating system. During the installation, there may be glitches, moments when the screen goes blank, or programs don't run smoothly. It doesn't mean the process has failed. It means the transformation is underway. Your nervous system works in the same way. For years, maybe even decades, it's been tuned to a certain vibration, shaped by past experiences, trauma, and survival patterns. Those settings were necessary for where you once were. But now, they're too small for who you are becoming. As you begin to embody a higher frequency, your nervous system must expand to handle more energy, more awareness, more a possibility. This expansion often feels like emotional chaos. You may find yourself crying without knowing why, feeling unusually tired, or suddenly triggered by old memories. Again, this doesn't mean you're regressing. It means the old energy is being released to make space for the new. Think of it like renovating a house. At first, you have to tear down the old walls, clear out the debris, and strip things back to the foundation. It looks messy. It sounds chaotic. But beneath that noise and disorder, a beautiful new structure is being built. During this time, self-compassion is vital. Just as you wouldn't yell at a child for wobbling on their first ride without training wheels, don't judge yourself for the shakiness you feel now. This is a tender, vulnerable stage. It requires patience and gentleness. Simple practices can help your nervous system integrate these changes. Slow breathing, quiet walks in nature, rest without guilt, even placing your hand on your heart and reminding yourself, I am safe, even in this transformation, can calm the body and signal to the brain that it's okay to release old patterns. Remember, every emotion you experience during this time is information. It's your system adjusting, letting you know where there's still resistance, where there's still healing to be done. If you can witness these feelings with curiosity rather than judgment, they will move through you more quickly. Over time, the instability fades. The wobbles become steadiness. Just as the child eventually rides smoothly and confidently, you will reach a point where your inner balance feels natural and strong. And when you look back, you'll realize that what once felt like chaos was actually growth. The silence of the missing synchronicities, the surge of emotions, the moments of doubt, all of it was part of your nervous system upgrading to match the higher frequency you were stepping into. In the end, this is what integration looks like. It's not always pretty or easy, but it's profoundly necessary, because as your brain and nervous system evolve, you become capable of holding more light, more love, and more truth than ever before. So when you find yourself in that wobbly, tender place, remember, you are not broken. You are becoming, and every moment of imbalance is simply proof that your wings are growing strong enough to fly. 7. Facing the darkness instead of running away. There comes a stage in every deep transformation where the darkness you thought you left behind begins to rise again. Old fears, painful memories, long-buried wounds, they surface like ghosts you believed were gone forever. It can feel disheartening, even frightening. You might find yourself wondering, why is this happening now? Haven't I worked so hard to heal? Haven't I already moved past this? I want you to know this truth. These shadows are not here to punish you. They are not proof that you are failing or moving backward. They rise to the surface because you are finally ready to see them clearly and release them completely. For much of our lives, we've been taught to run from pain. We numb it, avoid it, or bury it beneath busyness and distraction. This is what most of us learned as children, that if something hurts, you hide it, because facing it feels unbearable. And maybe, back then, avoidance was the only way we knew how to survive. But here, on this path of awakening, avoidance no longer serves you. The darkness you feel now is not here to destroy you, it's here to set you free. It is rising because you have grown strong enough to face it. Think of it like a deep wound that has been hidden under layers of bandages. At first, the covering protects you. But if you never remove the bandages, the wound festers in the dark. It cannot heal until it's exposed to the light, even if that exposure stings at first. This is why these old fears and patterns come up now. Your soul is ready for true healing. And true healing only happens through presence, not by running away, not by denying what you feel, but by sitting quietly and saying, I am here. I will not abandon myself anymore. When you choose to stay with yourself in this way, something remarkable begins to unfold. You discover that the darkness isn't an enemy at all. It is simply a part of you that has been waiting to be seen. waiting to be held with compassion. Most people spend their entire lives running from their shadows. They chase the next distraction, the next success, the next relationship, hoping to escape the feelings they've locked away inside. But the truth is, you cannot outrun what lives within you. No matter how fast you run, it will always follow. The only way out is through. Facing your darkness doesn't mean you get lost in it. It doesn't mean you wallow in pain or let it define you. It means you sit down beside it. Like sitting with an old friend who has been hurt and misunderstood. You listen, you breathe, you allow whatever arises to be there without judgment. This takes courage, not the loud, dramatic kind of courage we see in movies, but a quiet, steady kind, the kind that whispers, "I will not run anymore. I will stay present, even when it's uncomfortable." When you do this, the fear begins to shift. It may still hurt, but it softens. It loosens its grip, and beneath the layers of pain, you begin to glimpse something extraordinary, a light that has been there all along. This light is your true essence. It has never been broken. No matter how much you've suffered, the darkness you've been avoiding is simply the veil that has kept you from seeing it clearly. Imagine walking into a dark room with a single candle in your hand. At first, all you notice is the darkness pressing in around you. It feels endless, overwhelming. But as you stand still and allow your eyes to adjust, you begin to see the soft glow of the candlelight. The darkness hasn't disappeared, but it no longer feels so powerful. That candlelight is your awareness. The moment you stop running and turn inward, your awareness begins to illuminate the very places you once feared. This process is a kind of purification. As you sit with your shadow, the heavy emotions that once ruled your life begin to release. Anger, grief, shame, they flow through you like a river that has been blocked for years. It's not always pleasant, but it is profoundly liberating. This is how you step into a new reality. You cannot carry the old weight with you into the life you are creating. The fear, the pain, the false identities, they must be acknowledged and released. And that release only happens through willingness, the willingness to feel, to face, to stay present. It's a bit like spring cleaning for the soul. You go into the hidden corners, the places you've avoided, and you dust off what's been forgotten. At first, it's messy. There's clutter everywhere. But as you keep going, the space begins to open up. Light floods in, fresh air circulates, and slowly, you realize that the very act of facing the mess was what allowed beauty to return. During this stage, it's important to be gentle with yourself. There's no need to force the process or rush through it. Just as you wouldn't rip a flower open to make it bloom faster, don't push yourself to heal faster than you're ready. Instead, meet yourself with patience. Some days will feel like progress, others like setback, but both are part of the journey. Every tear, every deep breath, every moment of stillness is a step toward freedom. When you face your darkness with compassion, you begin to notice something miraculous. The darkness itself starts to transform. What once felt terrifying becomes a source of wisdom. What once felt like a prison becomes a doorway. And then, one day, you look back and realize the truth. The darkness was never here to harm you. It was here to lead you home, to the light within you. So if you find yourself standing in that shadowy place now, remember this: you are not lost. You are not broken. You are simply in the sacred process of becoming whole. Stay present, stay gentle, and trust that every shadow you face is guiding you closer to the radiant truth of who you are, a truth that has been shining inside you all along. 8. The stillness after the storm. There comes a moment, often so quiet, it feels almost unreal. When the storm finally passes, it doesn't announce itself with fanfare or sudden fireworks. Instead, it arrives like a whisper, like the first warm breeze after a long and bitter winter. After all the turbulence, the fear, the doubt, the intense emotions that surge through you like waves, there is suddenly space, a soft, open stillness that feels unfamiliar at first, almost fragile, as if you don't quite trust it yet. You might even hold your breath, waiting for the chaos to return. But slowly, you realize that something inside you has shifted. This stillness is not empty. It is alive. It is full of presence, like a vast and peaceful lake, reflecting the sky above. You see, throughout the journey, your nervous system has been operating in survival mode. Every surge of emotion, every old wound rising to the surface, was like an alarm bell ringing inside of you. Your body and mind were on high alert, constantly scanning for danger, constantly bracing for the next blow. This state of vigilance is exhausting. It keeps you locked in a loop of reaction rather than creation. When you're in survival mode, your energy is consumed by simply trying to get through the day. You can't see clearly, think expansively, or dream freely, because every part of you is focused on staying safe. But when you face the final challenge, when you choose not to run from the darkness, when you allow the old patterns to dissolve instead of clinging to them, something miraculous happens. Your system begins to recalibrate. It's like a tightly coiled spring that has been slowly unwinding. At first, there's resistance, tension, even pain. But once it's fully released, there's a natural settling, a return to balance. In this moment, your nervous system shifts from survival mode into creative mode. Instead of bracing against life, you begin to flow with it. Instead of scanning for what might go wrong, you start noticing what is already going right. The constant hum of anxiety fades into a deep, résonnant calme. This is the stillness after the storm. It's not the absence of movement, but the presence of harmony. It's like standing outside after a wild summer storm. The trees are still dripping with rain. The earth smells rich and alive, and the air feels fresh and clean. The storm may have been violent, but it has also cleared away the old debris, leaving space for new growth. In the same way, the storm you've weathered within yourself has served a purpose. It has stripped away what no longer belongs to you, outdated beliefs, fears, and identities. And now, in this tender quiet, you are standing in the truth of who you are, unobstructed and whole. This stillness is a sign that the quantum shift is complete. It's not just a change in your thoughts or feelings. It's a change in your entire state of being. You might notice that, even though the external circumstances of your life haven't changed much yet, your relationship to them has. Things that once triggered you no longer hold the same power. The challenges are still there, but you meet them differently. You respond with clarity rather than reactivity, with love rather than fear. It's like watching the same old movie you used to cry through, only now you see the story differently. You understand the characters, the plot, the meaning behind it all. You are no longer lost inside the drama. You are witnessing it from a higher perspective. This shift is subtle, but profound. It's the moment you realize that peace isn't something you have to chase or earn. It's not waiting for you at the end of some distant goal. Peace is here, now, in this breath, in this body. It has always been here. The storm didn't create the peace, it simply revealed it. During this stage, you may also notice a deep sense of connection, not just with yourself, but with everything around you. The line between you and the universe begins to blur. You feel held, supported, guided, even when you can't explain how. This connection isn't loud or dramatic. It doesn't need to be proven with constant signs or synchronicities. It's quiet, steady, like a heartbeat. You begin to trust that life is moving in perfect rhythm, even if you can't always see the full design. You understand, in your bones, that nothing is random, nothing is wasted. Even the storms had their place. Even the darkness was part of the unfolding. This understanding brings a profound relief. You no longer fight against what is. You no longer try to control every detail of your life out of fear. Instead, you rest in a deeper knowing. I am safe. I am supported. I am part of something far greater than myself. From this stillness, creation becomes effortless. Ideas flow easily. Opportunities arise naturally. Relationships deepen without force. It's like tending to a garden. In survival mode, you're constantly scrambling, overwatering here, pulling weeds frantically there, never trusting the process. But in this new state, you plant your seeds with care and let nature do the rest. You show up consistently, but without desperation. You understand that growth takes time, and you trust that it will happen in its own way. This is how you know the quantum shift is complete. It's not about dramatic external changes, though those may come later. It's about the quiet revolution inside you. So when you find yourself in this stillness, don't rush past it. Don't immediately fill the space with noise or activity. Instead, sit quietly and let yourself feel the depth of what has happened. Breathe it in. Allow your body and soul to integrate this new way of being. Because this stillness isn't just a pause between storms. It's the foundation of the life you are now ready to build. A life rooted in trust, alignment, and peace. And as you rest in this deep calm, you'll realize something simple but extraordinary. You are not just surviving anymore. You are creating. You are free. 9. Learning to observe instead of reacting. There is a quiet power in simply watching. It might seem like the smallest thing to sit still and notice what's happening inside you, but in truth, it is one of the most transformative acts you can ever practice. For most of our lives, we've been trained to react. Something happens, and immediately, we respond. A word triggers anger. A memory sparks sadness. A challenge ignites fear. Before we even realize it, we are swept away by a storm of emotion, carried down a river of old patterns. It happens so quickly that it feels automatic, as if we have no choice. But here's the deeper truth. You are not your reactions. You are not the storm. You are the sky that holds it. This realization changes everything. When you step into the role of the observer, you shift from being lost inside the story to witnessing it from a higher perspective. It's like watching clouds move across the sky. The clouds may be dark and heavy, even full of thunder and lightning, but the sky itself remains vast, steady, unbroken. Your awareness is that sky. Your emotions are the clouds. In quantum physics, there's a fascinating principle. The act of observation itself has the power to change reality. Before a particle is observed, it exists in a state of pure potential. It could move in any direction, take on any form. But the moment it is observed, it collapses into a specific state. The same thing happens within you. When an emotion arises, anger, fear, grief, or even joy, it exists as energy, fluid and shifting. If you immediately react, you lock that energy into place. You feed it, reinforce it, and carry it forward into your future. But if you simply observe it, without judgment or resistance, something miraculous happens. The energy begins to transform. It moves through you and dissolves, leaving space for something new to emerge. This is why observation is such a powerful key during times of transition. When your life is changing, emotions run high, old patterns surface. It's easy to get caught in the chaos, to believe every story your mind tells you. But if you can pause, breathe, and just watch, you create a gap, a space between the feeling and the action. In that space, you are free. At first, this practice can feel uncomfortable. We are so used to reacting that sitting still feels unnatural, even wrong. Your mind may scream, do something, fix it, fight back. But observation is not passivity. It's not about ignoring problems or suppressing feelings. It's about meeting reality with clarity instead of compulsion. Imagine a small child throwing a tantrum. If you react with anger, yelling, or punishing, the storm escalates. But if you stay calm, simply witnessing the child's upset with patience and understanding, the tantrum eventually runs its course and dissolves. Your emotions are no different. They, too, need to be seen, not fought. When you observe your feelings, you send yourself a powerful message. I am safe. I do not need to be ruled by this. I am more than this moment. This shifts your entire nervous system. Instead of being hijacked by survival mode, your body begins to relax. Your breath deepens. Your thoughts slow down. In this state, you can see clearly not through the lens of fear, but through the quiet wisdom of your deeper self. Think of it like standing beside a rushing river. When you're swept up in reaction, you're in the water, tumbling, gasping, fighting to stay afloat. But when you become the observer, you step onto the shore. The river still flows, but you are no longer drowning in it. You can watch the currents, notice their patterns, and choose when or if to engage. This perspective is especially important during times of transformation. As you grow, old energies rise to be released. They often appear as emotional storms, sudden anger, grief, fear, or confusion. If you mistake these emotions for truth, you'll be pulled back into old cycles. But if you observe them with compassion, they pass through you like clouds dissolving in sunlight. This is how you release old energy without clinging to it. By simply witnessing, you allow the past to move on. No force, not control, just presence. Over time, this practice becomes a way of life. You begin to notice the small space between stimulus and response, and in that space, you find choice. Someone may speak harshly to you, and instead of reacting automatically, you pause, you breathe, you feel the rise of anger or hurt, and you watch it without becoming it. Then, from a place of clarity, you decide how to respond, or whether to respond at all. This doesn't just bring peace to your inner world, it transforms your outer world. 2. Relationships become smoother. Conflicts resolve more easily. Opportunities appear where once there was only struggle, because when you are no longer feeding chaos with your reactions, life begins to reflect your inner calm. It's a bit like tending to a fire. When you stop throwing logs on it, the flames naturally die down. The same is true for drama and conflict. When you refuse to fuel them, they lose their power. In the context of spiritual growth, observation is the bridge between the old and the new. It allows you to release what no longer serves you without clinging to it or fighting it. It opens the door for new possibilities to enter, because your energy is no longer tangled in the past. And perhaps most importantly, it teaches you that peace isn't something you have to create. Peace is already here. Beneath the noise, it's revealed when you step back, breathe, and simply watch. So, the next time you feel overwhelmed by fear, anger, or even joy, try this. Pause. Place your hand on your heart. Say softly to yourself, I see you. I am here with you. Then, just watch. Let the feeling move through you like a wave. No grasping, no pushing, no running away. In that simple act of observation, you return to your true self, vast, steady, unshaken by the passing storms. And from that place, a new world begins to take shape, one moment at a time. 10. Stabilizing the new reality. A quantum leap may feel like a single, breathtaking moment, a sudden flash of clarity, or a breakthrough that changes everything in an instant. But the truth is, the leap itself is only the beginning. Real transformation is not a single event. It is a process. It's like a seed sprouting through the soil. The moment you see the tiny green shoot breaking the surface, feels miraculous. But beneath the ground, the roots have been growing quietly for days, even weeks. In the same way, after your breakthrough, there's still deep work happening within you. Your mind, body, and spirit are learning how to hold this new frequency. They're adjusting, recalibrating, and expanding to meet the new version of reality you've stepped into. This stage can be delicate. It requires care, patience, and consistency, just like building a new muscle. When you first begin strength training, your muscles feel shaky and sore. You have to repeat the exercises again and again until your body adapts. Over time, the movement that once felt awkward becomes second nature. It no longer requires effort. It simply becomes a part of you. Your new reality works in the exact same way. The first few days or weeks after a breakthrough can feel exhilarating, almost surreal. You catch glimpses of what's possible, moments where everything flows effortlessly. But then, old habits may start to creep back in. Doubts may whisper, fears may rise, and you might find yourself questioning whether the shift was even real. This is completely normal. It doesn't mean you've lost your progress. It simply means you are in the process of stabilizing. Think of it like learning to walk across a swinging bridge. At first, every step feels wobbly. You grip tightly, your body tense with effort. But the more you walk back and forth, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, you don't even think about balancing anymore. You just cross with ease. To stabilize your new reality, you must show up each day and embody it, not through force, but through gentle, consiste practice. You align yourself with the frequency you've chosen, again and again, until it becomes your natural state of being. One of the most powerful ways to do this is through repetition. Every time you choose thoughts, actions, and beliefs that match your new reality, and you strengthen it. Every time you notice old patterns rising and choose differently, you send a signal to your brain and nervous system. This is who I am now. This is my new normal. At first, this can feel like conscious effort. You may have to pause throughout the day and remind yourself of the truth you've discovered. You may need to take extra care with your environment, choosing to surround yourself with people, places, and practices that support your growth. But over time, something beautiful happens. The new way of being begins to take root. What once required focus and intention starts to flow naturally. It's like learning a new language. In the beginning, you have to think about every word, every sentence. It feels clumsy and slow. But eventually, there comes a day when you realize you're no longer translating in your head. You're simply speaking. The language has become part of you. Stabilizing your reality is the same. At first, you are practicing alignment. You are reminding yourself of who you truly are, moment by moment. But one day, you'll wake up and realize you're not practicing anymore. You're just living it. This is when the quantum leap becomes sustainable. It's no longer a peak experience you visit occasionally. It's the ground you stand on every single day. During this stage, it's important to be gentle with yourself. There will be days when you slip into old patterns. There will be moments when fear or doubt pulls at you. This doesn't mean you've failed. It simply means you're human. When this happens, treat yourself with kindness. Instead of judging yourself, return to the practices that bring you back to center, whether that's meditation, journaling, walking in nature, or simply taking a deep, conscious breath. Remember, stabilization is about consistency, not perfection. It's about returning, again and again, to your true self. You'll also notice that as your inner world stabilizes, your outer world begins to reflect it. At first, there may still be remnants of the old reality, old relationships, old situations, old energies. But as you continue to embody your new frequency, those external pieces will naturally shift. Some will fall away, Others will transform, and gradually, your outer life will come into harmony with your inner state. This is the point where effort fades. You no longer have to try to manifest or control. You no longer have to chase signs or proof. You are simply living from the truth of who you are. It's like swimming in a river. At first, you may fight the current, struggling to stay afloat. But once you learn to move with the flow, you discover that the river carries you effortlessly. Your only task is to stay aligned, to stay present, to stay open. As you stabilize your new reality, you'll begin to feel a deep trust in the unfolding of life. You'll realize that you don't have to hold everything together with sheer willpower. The universe is holding you, and from that place of trust, your world becomes lighter. Creation becomes a dance, not a battle. Joy becomes natural, not fleeting. So be patient with yourself in this stage. Honor the quiet, daily steps you take to anchor your new reality. Celebrate the small moments of alignment, knowing they are the building blocks of a life fully transformed, because one day, you will look around and realize that what once felt extraordinary now feels completely ordinary, not because it has lost its magic, but because it has become who you are. This is the gift of stabilization, the moment when the miracle becomes your everyday life. When you no longer reach for the new reality, because you are living inside it. And in that realization, you find a freedom so profound, it doesn't need to be spoken. It simply is. 11. Embracing the infinity of the present moment. There is a quiet miracle that most of us overlook, and it is happening right now in this very breath, in this very moment. For so much of our lives, we are taught to chase the future. We are told that happiness, peace, and freedom live somewhere ahead of us in the next achievement, the next relationship, the next version of ourselves. And so, we run, we plan, we strive, we keep reaching for a horizon that always seems just out of reach. But what if the miracle you've been seeking is not waiting for you in some faraway place? What if it's here, now, quietly unfolding in the present moment? The truth is, the present is not small or limited. It is vast, boundless, infinite. Every possibility, every timeline, every version of your life exists within this single, living moment. When we fixate on the future, we miss this truth. We become like someone standing in a garden, eyes closed, dreaming of a flower that might bloom tomorrow, all while surrounded by blossoms that are already open. We don't need to run to another garden. We simply need to open our eyes and see what is here. Now, this doesn't mean you give up on your dreams or stop moving forward. It means you stop postponing your joy until some imagined future arrives. You begin to live fully in the now, and by doing so, you create the very future you've been longing for. There's a beautiful paradox here the moment you stop clinging to what's next. Life opens when you let go of the constant tension of waiting for the sign, the change, the breakthrough. You begin to feel the richness of what is already present. This is where true power lives, not in striving, not in controlling, but in deep presence. Think of a musician playing a song. If they are always rushing ahead to the next note, they miss the beauty of the note they are playing right now. The music becomes mechanical, forced, but when they sink fully into each sound, each pause, the song comes alive. Life is like that music. When you inhabit each moment completely, without rushing past it, you become part of the symphony instead of just a listener. The mind will try to convince you otherwise. It will whisper, "I'll be happy when," or "I'll finally feel free once this changes." But happiness doesn't live in when, it lives in now. Freedom doesn't wait for the outer world to rearrange itself. It blooms the moment you release the belief that you need to be anywhere other than here. When you truly understand this, something profound happens. You stop searching for the miraculous because you realize you are the miracle. You don't have to find magic out in the world. You are the doorway through which infinite possibilities enter this reality. Your awareness, your attention, your very presence. These are the keys that unlock creation itself. Imagine standing at the edge of an ocean. Each wave represents a potential future, a path your life could take. If you're focused only on the distant horizon, you miss the beauty and power of the wave touching your feet right now. But when you pay attention to this wave, when you truly feel it, you begin to sense the vast ocean it comes from. This is what living in the present is like. By fully experiencing this moment, you gain access to the infinite field of possibilities beneath it. In physics, there is a principle that mirrors this truth in the quantum field. All potentials exist simultaneously. It is the observer you who determines which potential collapses into form through attention and intention. The future isn't something out there waiting for you to arrive. It is something you are constantly shaping with the focus of your awareness. This is why presence is so powerful. When you are scattered, lost in memories of the past or fears of the future, your energy is diffused. Creation becomes slow, chaotic, or misaligned. But when you gather all of your awareness into this moment, you align fully with the source of creation itself. From this space, clarity arises naturally. Decisions become effortless. Life begins to flow with a grace that feels almost magical, though in truth, it is simply natural. To live this way requires a gentle shift in perspective. Instead of asking, "How can I get to where I want to be?" you begin to ask, "How fully can I inhabit where I am?" When you release the need to chase, you stop vibrating at the frequency of lack. You no longer send the signal that says, "I don't have it yet. It's not here yet." Instead, you embody the vibration of wholeness. You live as though your desires are already part of you because, at the deepest level, they are. From this place, the outer world begins to mirror your inner state. Opportunities show up. Relationships evolve. Circumstances align, not because you forced them to, but because the universe is simply reflecting the frequency you are holding. It's like standing in front of a mirror. If you keep frowning at your reflection, you can't expect it to smile back. But the moment you smile first, the reflection changes instantly. The same is true of life. When you choose to fully embrace the present moment, to see its infinite potential, to embody joy and peace, now reality responds. The outer world reorganizes itself to match your inner being. This is why the present moment is so sacred. It is the only point of power you will ever have. The past is gone. The future hasn't arrived. But here, in this breath, you are free to create. So pause. Feel the air entering your lungs. Notice the way the light falls in the room around you. Listen to the quiet pulse of life moving through you. This is where the infinite lives, not in some distant dream, but right here, right now. When you live fully in this space, you no longer need to chase signs or wait for permission. You stop postponing your life. And in that simple, profound shift, you realize that you've been standing in the miracle all along. The future will take care of itself. Your task is to show up completely for this moment, because this moment is where everything begins. The promise within the silence. There will be moments on this journey when everything grows so quiet that it almost feels like absence, like loss. The synchronicities you once relied on fade away. The signs you used to see so clearly vanish, and you may feel as though the universe has turned its back on you. But I want you to remember this truth. As gently and firmly as possible, silence is never abandonment. It is not emptiness. It is not the end. Silence is the sacred pause of the universe, the deep breath before the next song begins. It is the quiet space where everything is being rearranged beneath the surface, preparing to emerge in perfect timing. When synchronicities disappear, it doesn't mean you've lost your way. It doesn't mean you've been forgotten. It simply means you've reached a threshold, a point so close to transformation that the old patterns must dissolve before the new ones can take root. It's like standing in the stillness before dawn. The night is at its deepest. The world hushed and waiting. To the untrained eye, it may seem as if nothing is happening, but beneath that darkness, life is stirring. The first rays of light are already on their way. This is why silence is not something to fear, but something to honor. It is a sign that the universe trusts you, trusts that you are ready to stand on your own, ready to embody the truth you've been seeking, ready to create rather than wait for constant reassurance. When synchronicities fall away, you are being invited into a deeper relationship with yourself. You are being asked to source your strength from within, rather than looking for proof outside of you. This isn't a test you must pass. It's a declaration of faith, the universe saying, "I believe in you. You are ready." And yes, that can feel overwhelming. It can feel lonely at first. But if you sit with the silence, if you breathe into it instead of running away, you'll discover something miraculous. What you thought was emptiness is actually full of potential, full of wisdom, full of the quiet hum of creation itself. You'll begin to see that the light you were searching for was never out there. It has been inside you all along, waiting for you to notice it. All of the signs, all of the synchronicities, were never about leading you to something outside of yourself. They were breadcrumbs, guiding you back home to the knowing that you are, and always have been, connected to everything. The real shift, the real quantum leap, isn't about reaching some distant future. It's about embodying the frequency of the reality you desire right now. In this moment, when you stop waiting to arrive and instead become what you've been seeking, everything changes. You stop chasing signs because you realize you are the sign. You stop grasping for proof because you understand that your very being is the proof. This is the quiet miracle of transformation. When you align with the frequency of your true self, the outer world adjusts naturally to reflect it. You don't have to push or force. You don't have to control every detail. You simply live as the embodiment of what you wish to experience, and reality mirrors it back to you. It's like a still pond reflecting the sky. When the water is calm, the reflection is perfect. When you are calm and aligned, the universe reflects your inner harmony with breathtaking clarity. So when you find yourself in that silent space, let it be a reminder. You are standing on holy ground. You are on the cusp of something beautiful and profound. Do not rush it. Do not fill it with noise. Simply breathe. Simply be. And when doubt arises, as it inevitably will place your hand over your heart and whisper to yourself, this silence is not the end. This silence is the beginning. This is the promise that a new dawn is coming. For one day soon, the light will break through. The synchronicities will return, but you will meet them with a new understanding. You will know that they are not your source, but your reflection. The magic you were chasing outside was always radiating from within. The universe will adjust to you, not because you demanded it, but because you became it. You became the frequency of peace, love, abundance, or freedom, and life had no choice but to reflect that truth. So, let this silence be your teacher. Let it guide you into the deepest knowing that you are already whole, already connected, already complete. The silence is not a void. It is a promise that the dawn is near, a promise that you are ready to step fully into your power, and perhaps most importantly, a promise that you don't have to search for the light anymore, because in this very moment, you are the light you've been looking for all along.